1872 222222. You can email lawrence.reed@bbc.co.uk. Now, what about this? The man who represents disabled people in Cornwall has condemned a new traffic scheme in Hayle. If you live in Hayle, all right, you know probably exactly what I'm talking about here. Steve Paget, the chairman of Disability Cornwall, says the design of this new pedestrian crossing beggars belief. He says its pavement's position makes it a real danger for those with visual problems and the disabled and ladies with double buggies. He's live in the studio. Thank you for coming in. Just describe it for us then. I've tweeted the picture. It's gone out on our Facebook page, Lunchtime with Laurence. What are we talking about here, Steve?
It's a pedestrian crossing which has been, the control box of which has been repositioned, the pole has been repositioned, but it's bang centre in the middle of the pavement, Laurence, which is obviously going to cause problems for all types of users.
So we're not talking a very, very wide pavement, are we? We're talking a normal bulk standard size pavement with two poles in the middle of it with these control panels.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, how much distance is there between the pole and the road and the pole and the hedge?
There's very little distance between the pole and the road, but between the pole and the hedge is less than a metre.
So you're hard-pressed to get a buggy or a wheelchair through there?
You are.
What? I'm missing something here. Why would you stick something in the middle of a pavement? I don't quite understand why.
It's a good question.
Right. How dangerous could it be?
For somebody with a visual impairment, it could be quite dangerous. For somebody having to go into the road to navigate around the pavement, it's extremely dangerous. Again, I just can't understand the logic.
Beggars belief. I mean, one has, but someone must have designed it. I just don't understand why they would have this sort of device in the middle of the pavement when most of them aren't in the middle of the pavement. Why have they made this a special case? How long has it been there?
I don't know how long it's been there. We first became aware of it a few days ago when people started to message us and tell us and post pictures on Facebook to say it was there.
Unbelievable. Have you been in contact with Cornwall Council?
Not as yet, no.
Not as yet, no. I have. I've sent the email and a picture to them. Some may say, well, come on, you're not overreacting a bit here, are you? I mean, they've got to put it somewhere. Is it really that dangerous?
In isolation, it's one example, but it is on top of the car park, the parking meters, which were inaccessible, the disabled toilets or the accessible toilets where they put barriers which prevented disabled people from using them. And let's not forget, Laurence, we're 21 years post legislation now that came in to make the built environment more accessible for disabled people, and still we find these mistakes being made.
You're absolutely right. I was just, my question here to you was, it reminds me of when Cornwall Council designed the new pay machines in car parks too high for those in wheelchairs, and then they made barriers in toilets too small to get anyone through.
Exactly.
But I'm missing something here. I just don't understand the design department at the council then that keeps making these errors.
This is why we keep trumpeting co-production. That is where when the council want to do something, they work with organisations of disabled people. They work with disabled people themselves to make sure these mistakes don't happen. But it consistently does happen, and it's a waste of public money when there isn't much public money to go around.
How much would these have cost? I mean, I'll have a chat to Hannah in a moment. She's chasing this up. We're trying to get a response from Cornwall Council. I mean, it's not just a question of a metal post and stuff. I suppose you've got all the electrics that goes in, and we know how expensive things are these days. They reckon a Pelican Crossing costs 30-40 grand to do. I don't know what sort of cost you've heard.
I'm not a structural engineer. I wouldn't have a clue, and I don't know where these figures come up from, but I would say it would probably be an extremely expensive to not only put this Pelican Crossing in, but now to make the alterations to put it right.
And you were insisting they are taken down and moved and put in an appropriate place.
I'm not insisting anything, Laurence. I'm just highlighting the fact that yet another mistake has been made, which is put in place a barrier which prevents some people from perhaps using that pedestrian way. God
forbid anyone did hit themselves on it after it has been highlighted.
Absolutely.
because we know we are in a sort of litigious type of
We are.
life, aren't we?
And can I go back to the 21 years since the Disability Discrimination Act came in, 2010, that was incorporated within the Equality Act. You'd think by now, the council and service providers generally in society would be getting their heads around what is required in terms of suitable access. We're actually putting Disability Cornwall's being involved in an Access All areas sharing best practice for accessible tourism. I mean, I know you were talking about tourism earlier, and that event is taking place on Tuesday, the 4th of October.
Oh, no, hang on. So that's interesting. So it's a tourism event, is it?
It is a tourism event.
All right, tourism event, yeah.
Which is taking place at the Eden Project on Tuesday, the 4th of October, from 9:30 to 4 o'clock. And you can find out more about on the What's On section of Disability Cornwall's website.
All right, well, I think we may chase that up because obviously that conference is all to make, I suppose, tourism more aware
of what their obligations, their duties in law.
Can you give us a sense of how many people with disabilities there are in Cornwall? We know anecdotally there are something like 30-odd thousand blue badge holders.
I can put it into context in terms of nationally. Nationally, there are 12 million disabled people. They have a spending power of over £212 billion. Why is Cornwall turning its back on that amount of money? Because effectively, that's what they're doing by not encouraging disabled people to visit the county. That goes for the local authority and for private service providers. By having barriers, you prevent those people wanting to come to Cornwall and spending the money that they have available.
But they have that caveat in the Disability Discrimination Act of what is reasonable. And it's that grey area, isn't it? This what is reasonable.
Exactly. A recent report by the House of Lords outlined the problems that there is with the current legislation. What we would like to see, and we are actually trying to get hold of the MPs now to kind of make our representations. We think that 21 years post legislation, it's about time there was a tweak to the law so that the emphasis is taken away from individual disabled people having to take action to change the built environment, and local authorities take a little bit more responsibility before they issue licences, before they look into how accessible these places are.
All right. It's an interesting debate to be had, Steve. Appreciate you coming in, Steve Paget. Thank
Pleasure.
you very much indeed. Let's go over to Hannah. We'll go to the calls in just a moment's time. This is in isolation. Steve Paget was saying, OK, but this is not in isolation. They keep making these cock-ups. This is just one of a number of cock-ups being made. Right, what have we got from Cornwall Council then? I sent them
Nothing
the picture.
Yet.
No.
Yeah, but we are getting information through from people that this may have already been removed yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I've asked
hearing...
again the council, so perhaps this has now actually been uprooted.
Oh, interesting. So even in the time that we've been talking about coming in and doing this story, that some action may have already been taken?
Yeah, so I've got another message into the council.
Well, it'll be nice to find out who designed it, how much it's cost, how much it's going to cost to redesign it, and will they stop making these mistakes? All right, is that okay? I'm not getting angry. Have you noticed I'm keeping calm? Have you noticed that, Steve?
Very calm.
I'm keeping calm, thank you.
Laurence Reed, BBC Radio Cornwall.
01872 222222.
Burn.
Lovely.
So sizing that up. And a couple of calls from people to say that they thought that the crossing scheme post has been removed. If you look, there's a statement from Cornwall Council to say it's been removed this morning.
That's incredible because I was
yesterday morning.
Incredible because they were only just measuring it up a few days ago. So that was very quick work by Cornwall Council.
Yeah.
Now we just need to know how much it cost and why they put it wrong in the first
and then
place.
to remove it. So it seems, if you read the statement, it looks as if it didn't comply with the legislation.
They've got to get this right, haven't they? They're not doing themselves any favours at all, are they, by making these simple, stupid mistakes?
Yeah.
You know. All right, OK, so well done, Cornwall Council. Let's give them a bit of praise. Apparently they've taken it down. Let's get that latest release from them. The stub post on the site was renewed as part of our ongoing replacement programme. The stub post was replaced in the same position where it had been since 1999. However, it was recognised that the site no longer meets current Disability Discrimination Acts and the regulations that followed, and so the stub post was removed yesterday morning. The hole had to be excavated to remove the post that was previously in place, regardless of if the post was being reinstalled or not. The new post was installed in a socket, so removing it took a matter of minutes. There you are. So they won't tell us what that cost. Now let's talk about